Shakalaka!
Do you know just how many points LeBron will score tonight? Prove that you're a prop bet god with Thrive Fantasy and win cash prizes. Download the app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store using the promo code SWING when you sign up. Receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more. Thrive Fantasy. Sign up and prop up today. Hello and welcome to The Swing, where this week we get to discuss the end of season awards for the NBA. Some great stories coming in, but you know what? It may not always be about the narrative. But there is certain history to be made.
What?
I'm joined by my co-host Owais as we break down the 5 major awards where the NBA has finalized its list down to 3 for each of them.
Actually, we have 6, not 5, but that's okay.
That's true. We have 6 final awards.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's why you're here. Sometimes you gotta have someone to keep you in check. No, the numbers get right.
But anyway,
6 major awards to be able to go through and talk about just where we think the voters are gonna go. Because we've had where the coaches are going for some of them. We may even have where the players go. And as we've seen in recent years, it's not always in sync. And oftentimes it is because the players value certain things differently
than the
versus
coaches.
what the coaches
Or
what the media values differently. Narratives versus numbers, purely wins versus impact of a player on their team itself.
Yeah. So my question to our viewers is, how do you decide? If you were given the opportunity to decide a finalist or a potential winner, how do you decide? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in your DMs. Whatever.
Absolutely. We're going to have our predictions on here. Engage with us on what you think. And we'll see who happens to be the most correct, because I think we are going to see some history this year, Owais.
And we're excited for that. Let's talk about what the potential history can be, baby.
Yeah,
okay.
boy.
So right off the bat, the 6 awards that the NBA does have finalists for. Of course, we have the MVP race, the 6th Man of the Year race, the Defensive Player of the Year race, Coach of the Year, Most Improved, and the Rookie of the Year. Right? So we're going to get to the first topic. Actually, we're going to go to the little topics first. Let's talk about Rookie of the Year. Okay? Now, the 3 finalists for Rookie of the Year this year in the 2020 season, number 1 from the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant. Okay? Number 2 from the Miami Heat, Kendrick Nunn. And number 3, the new poster boy of the NBA from the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Look, to me, this was by far the easiest race in order to pick. Plain and simple, Kendrick Nunn just is a throw-in as far as the third one's concerned. He has not had a great rookie season. He's played a lot of minutes. He started well. He's played a lot of minutes. He's had volume going to him. But from a purely wins-added perspective and just from an impact perspective, he lags far behind these other 2 that are out there. And
what about Tyler Herro? Why is he not on here?
well, again, it comes back to just, look, the fact of the matter is there aren't that many rookies this year that have been essentially forced into big roles.
That's
the
true.
ones who have played well outside of these guys are ones who have been in good support roles. We have Terrence Davis, as you said, for the Toronto Raptors, who's had a great rookie season. Tyler Herro has had a very, very solid rookie season coming off the bench for them as a very efficient scorer. So these are all things that are important. But when you look back at this season as a whole, there's really just one rookie that not only played the most out of them all, didn't have minutes limits, didn't have load management,
but he almost dunked on Kevin Love and made him love his nuts.
Very, very apt. Very apt, Owais. Yes, Ja Morant is the shoo-in as far as Rookie of the Year is concerned for me.
Oh, yeah.
Apart from the fact that he put up 17, 4, and 7, he was also the rookie who was, of these 3, making it into the playoffs. Obviously, Kendrick Nunn is on a Miami team in which he is
in a
going to
winning
be
culture.
Yeah,
sort
he's
of
in a good
situation.
culture. Jimmy is the one running the team. Bam, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, has emerged as their big second guy. But for Ja Morant to take these Memphis Grizzlies, who are absolutely on the early end of their development scale.
1,000%.
Right, they had a veteran in, when I say veteran, JB has a veteran on there, 27 years old. I mean, this is a very, very young team that has limitless potential as far as I'm concerned. And the reason that is because of Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson. And Ja Morant coming into that situation, absolutely owning it, and making Memphis essentially switch itself from the grit and grind that it used to be into a very fast-paced team, one of the fastest in the league, top 5 in pace.
Yeah.
While being incredibly efficient is just a combination of a great rookie season. You don't often see rookies shooting 48% from the field. You don't often see rookies have the kind of court vision and the kind of maturity that Ja Morant has shown. And the propensity to handle the big moments the way that he has versus Zion, who just came at the end of the season over there, had a couple of big games. But when I look back just in the regular season, some of the games that stick out to me, there was the Ja Morant game against the Houston Rockets, where it was a tight game going all the way through, and then Morant hits back-to-back step-back threes in front of Harden to be able to finish the game, and just it was like nothing. It was one of those where it's like, I'm made for this moment. And to me, that is going to be what's most important for Memphis, who's trying to build an identity for itself and trying to get them back into that level of relevance, which I do feel that they are well on the way to. Slight adjustments needed here and there. We've talked about Dylan Brooks and the factors that they have.
Room to grow.
Room to grow, no doubt. And I think Ja Morant is at the front of that. So to me, no doubt, Ja Morant is Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely, and I would agree with nothing more. Okay? Ja Morant, Rookie of the Year. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Moving on. We're going to move on to the Most Improved Player of the Year. And we've got, again, from the New Orleans Pelicans, Brandon Ingram. We also have, again, from the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. Okay? Bam Bam.
Bam.
And finally, from the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, which is pretty crazy because I would never have thought that he would make it to a Most Improved, but then you look at his stats and you're like, holy shit.
Yes, but this is kind of to me. Look, first of all, I want to discount Luka out of this because of that fact that he is, to me, a Most Improved player, just from a narrative or even just a understanding perspective, is to me a player who was not already on their path to superstardom. Luka had an incredible rookie season.
He did.
Already put himself on the map
as elite.
Of the elite. There is, to me, it's like the same thing when Steph Curry won his unanimous MVP. And if you looked at the jump from that season to what was one of the best seasons ever, there was a legitimate argument that, hey, you could give Steph Curry Most Improved Player on that year. But it just doesn't make sense. And to me, it kind of takes away from the impact that you want the award to have. You want to reward players that have put the work in, that have changed themselves or
100%.
changed the trajectory of their career path.
1,000%.
And to me, the other two players have absolutely done that. But I'm going to say this is Brandon Ingram, and I'm going to say this is a lock for Brandon Ingram.
100%.
Because to me, Bam did not change the trajectory of his career. Bam was given more opportunity this year because he had earned it. He was playing, frankly, from a per 36 perspective, he was doing just as well last year in the 24 minutes a game that he was getting as he is now in the 35, 36 minutes. And that is on the Heat's intelligence for understanding that and realizing that, hey, Hassan Whiteside is not where we need to put all those resources in. We've got Bam over here, who not only has all the capabilities as a rebounder and just as a force on the inside, as someone like Hassan Whiteside did, but he has court vision that is really unparalleled outside of a Nikola Jokic for that position in the league today. So to me, Bam is already just this incredible player who is, deservedly an all-star this year, and he got in without any question. Brandon Ingram, on the other hand, he was the one who was on the tail end of that. People were already questioning his value, and people were already questioning whether Brandon Ingram would in fact be anything more than just this inefficient scorer that we were seeing on the Los Angeles Lakers. But he totally changed that game around. I mean, he was getting minutes, he was getting opportunities, he was getting all of that on the LA Lakers. But we just talked about how many games Zion missed.
Yeah.
And we talked about how the Pelicans were pretty much, banking or putting all their eggs in the basket of, Zion is going to be our next big thing. And you know what? I think that it's one, I don't want to discount the work the Pelicans have done into it, because Brandon Ingram is obviously someone they saw and they put the
money and the effort into investments. Absolutely.
But when that deal happened for the Anthony Davis trade, when that huge transaction happened and we saw the move of Lonzo Ball, there was more talk about what Lonzo Ball is going to do on the Pelicans than Brandon Ingram.
Actually, he got typecasted at one point when he came from the Lakers to the Pelicans. They're like, Ingram is just this offensive guy who's too inconsistent, and he'll remain inconsistent because he's too skinny, or he's got too much he has too much rawness in his game, and he doesn't seem like the type of person to put in the work to get to that elite level. But he had all the tools. But anyway, continue.
Look, he had the height about him. Look, the comparisons that were made always
Kevin
early.
Durant.
Yes. Kevin Durant was the comparison early in his career, and you know what? That is a Mount Everest of a comparison to be able to put, right? Kevin Durant is arguably the greatest scorer that we have ever seen. Like, Draymond usually says stupid shit, but for once I may actually agree with him on his idea that KD is that. But to have that kind of comparison is not just because he is tall and lanky, but the capability that Ingram showed in terms of being able to create his own shot.
Seriously.
In terms of being able to get off the dribble and get a shot off above the defender that is pretty much unguardable.
That's the biggest difference between him last year, a few seasons ago, and now.
Yeah.
The maturity in the way that he's developed his offensive game has been so immense that, he is such a threat. So not only have I seen that his footwork has gone immensely better, it's also exactly what you mentioned. From the mid-range, he is able to just make these tough shots.
Yeah.
Look easy and smooth, but these tough shots are coming from just understanding that he has length. He can use that to his advantage. And so he has looked so good. He's also been aggressive. He's also slashed this year quite a lot. And, actually looked like he put on a little bit of size, but had not lost the quickness.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, look what when you improve your footwork to a point where, that becomes one of your strengths, it just opens so many doors for your game.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100% in the fact that I genuinely think there's no one else in this league that is more deserving of most improved player than Brandon Ingram. And, we're excited to see, Pelicans didn't have an incredible year this year. We would have expected a lot more from them, and Zion's injury and things of that nature came into play. But at the end of the day, you are really excited to see what this core can do. And Brandon Ingram, if anyone, is going to be a leader on an offensive end, he's as good as anyone, right? Zion, of course, they're going to try to focus in on him, but I would say make Zion kind of the second option. Ingram has proven and solidified the fact that he can be a first option and get you buckets.
I mean, at the very least, you get a 1A, 1B scenario in there, and frankly, this development season really for Brandon Ingram is a blessing in disguise for the Pelicans. Because, look, Zion was always going to be treated with kid gloves coming in. We knew that it is a scenario where he is an incredibly unique specimen. He's going to have to understand how he's going to fit best in the NBA, how his body is going to develop, and how his game is going to develop with regards to how the rigors of the NBA is going to be. This is a huge offseason for Zion, but more so, this entire season has been an absolute revelation as far as Brandon Ingram's concerned.
And his ceiling, to be honest.
Look, he went from what would have been maybe a journeyman in the NBA to a rock-solid all-star this year. Deservedly got in, even if it was getting to like, hey, is he going to be at the tail end of it? No, I think he's going to be a absolute lock for all-star for many years going forward, just because of how much he has put in the work, improved, and that's about it. Ingram deserves most improved player, and if he doesn't get it, I'm gonna be mad.
I feel you, man. I totally feel you with that. Moving on, we're gonna move on to the next award, the Sixth Man of the Year award, which consists of 3 different players, of course. 2 from the LA Clippers. We're gonna start with Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
Second guy is, of course, the Sixth Man,
the perennial sixth man,
Lou Williams.
Yep.
And finally, from OKC, as you mentioned, Dennis Schroeder.
Yep.
The African legend. Okay? So, who do you got?
As I was mentioning earlier, to me it's Dennis Schroeder. And let me start to talk about some of these other guys first before I really get into Schroeder itself. Montrezl Harrell has been the ultimate energy big for what the LA Clippers have been looking to do. If you're looking at pretty much the X factor that comes off the bench for them, Lou Williams is pretty much playing starter minutes for them. He is there. As far as I'm concerned, he's 6-man in name only.
Right.
He closes out every game with them. He's playing 32, 33 minutes a game at all times, and he is potentially their third option now, since obviously Paul George and Kawhi is coming from an offensive standpoint. But what always impresses me about Montrezl Harrell is the fact that he pretty much has no plays run for him.
Yeah.
No plays. He isn't a guy to, get it into the post and be able to play it. But he is always in the right place at the right time, and he has been taking leap to leap to leap, year to year for them. Look, to me, one of the mistakes that the Houston Rockets made was letting Montrezl Harrell go. And that was when they doubled down on Clint Capella.
Yeah.
Pretty much went to that, and then they had Moti Yunus and these guys. But to me, Montrezl Harrell was always that rim runner that the Houston Rockets could have used throughout, and they should have. The Clippers have been the beneficiaries of that.
Absolutely.
And to me, I actually am not a fan of, I've talked about this, I'm not a fan of how the Clippers team is made up, but if there's a guy who cleans up the mistakes better than few others in the league, that's Montrezl. And if we talk about hype men, guys who get your team going, get the crowd going, we talked about us having Serge Ibaka. Montrezl Harrell is monstrous in that, and that has been the catalyst for so many runs, especially when there's a lot of games where the Clippers start off slow. If you've looked in the season, there are so many first halves where the Clippers are trailing, but then they come roaring back, and more often than not, it's because Montrezl Harrell is there to get the crowd going, get the hype going, get the other team off their game, because he flexes on them, he'll get the offensive rebounds, and he'll put it back to the tune of 16 and 9 as he did this year.
Seriously.
And he does it in energy minutes. It's all about productivity. Montrezl is never going to be a guy to play 30 plus minutes a game. He's there to be your 24 minutes of just pure unadulterated hustle.
Yeah,
adrenaline.
Man.
Push your team up to that next level. And when it gets to scenarios where nothing is working, things are broken down, and you start to have your head drop, that's when Montrezl Harrell comes there. So, to me, a very deserving 6th Man of the Year candidate, and he will be, for them going forward as well, because he's always going to be that guy to really get into the other team.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, there is a clear-cut favorite this year, and that is Dennis Schroeder.
I had him in fantasy, so I know why.
Oh, man. Look, for Dennis Schroeder is a guy who has always been one of those, he'll get his numbers, he'll play starters minutes as he did on Atlanta. Atlanta tried to kind of mold him into their full-on point guard after Jeff Teague left. And it was okay.
It was okay, but it wasn't enough for them to be sold on the fact that he can be that guy.
Exactly, and that's why they drafted
Trae Young,
drafted Luka Doncic, and traded him for Trae Young.
Yes,
I'm not even going to get into that. But regardless, that trade was all because they felt that they needed a more point guard, or at least a more offensive threat, potentially a more efficient threat at the point than what Dennis Schroeder was. And that kind of left Dennis Schroeder in this odd role because they tried mixing it around different lineups in Atlanta. Didn't work. He gets here to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's like it fit like a glove.
Seriously, he hasn't really changed his game much. Like, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
The game hasn't changed entirely. But what you're seeing is that he's been put into a position where everything is just so smooth for him to be successful. Like, he's still slashing to the basket and efficiently scoring. But I guess that comes with the leadership. Atlanta never had that leadership that, someone like Chris Paul kind of gives to a team. And number two is also, if you look at threats, who did Atlanta really have as a threat? So it opens a floor for him a lot more. He's not really a focal point anymore.
Yeah.
And number three is like the coaching, as we had mentioned. So, I mean, he's had an incredible season.
Yeah. Look, 19 points a game, his best season offensively from an efficiency standpoint, sitting at nearly 48% shooting from the field as well. It's just been a renaissance season in the sense of Dennis Schroeder putting up meaningful numbers. And just, to me, the other thing is just his level of engagement. There was times when he was with the Hawks where you could just kind of see that it was like he was a bull in a china shop. He gets the ball, he's looking to drive hard, and if that's not working, he's kind of stuck with like, all right, what do I do? Let's just try this again. Let's just keep going, and hope that it eventually works out. But in this season, you have seen his shot selection improve immensely to the point where now they're able to run that three-guard lineup because, one, they have the advantage of having a much larger guard in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from a length perspective, that you can run Dennis Schroeder in that 1-2 combo and have him just pretty much play off ball and then, when required, be the release valve.
Yeah.
And he's done that just so incredibly well. I've been so impressed with Dennis Schroeder this year and just Oklahoma in general. They've just been a legitimately fun team to watch. And a lot of that has come because Dennis Schroeder has accepted his role, excelled in his role, and pretty much made it so that he is irreplaceable for that Oklahoma City 100%. Thunder team and their success. So, great for him in finding a spot that he really excels in. And to me, the NBA and the media needs to reward that kind of maturity, that kind of development, and frankly, that kind of performance. Because Lou's doing Lou things. He's going to do what he always does. He's going to put up 20 points on the shots that he takes. But to me, Sixth Man of the Year is what helped transform a team. And to me, Dennis Schroeder has been one of the key cogs to the transformation of the Oklahoma City Thunder this year.
100%. And I couldn't agree more. So the Sixth Man of the Year award, we hope, goes to Dennis Schroeder. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the anticipated...
the meat and potatoes, as they say.
Meat and potatoes of this conversation. The MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year. We'll start with the Defensive Player of the Year. And we have the three finalists, obviously, from the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. From the Utah Jazz, the steady Rudy Gobert. So good this year that he closed the NBA. And finally, from the LA Lakers, Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Look, let me start with this.
Okay. Talk to me.
There has only ever been two instances in the history of the NBA. 1987, 1988, 1993, 1994.
Was that Mike?
Where Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Hakeem the Dream.
Hakeem the Dream. Only two seasons in NBA history in which a player has won both the MVP award and the Defensive Player of the Year award. And I'm here to tell you that the time has come for there to be a third entrant. A third entrant into that list, because the Defensive Player of the Year,
James Harden, right?
this year is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. And let me tell you why.
Please, enlighten us.
On a year where the Milwaukee Bucks have the best record in the league, they also have the best defense in the league. And that best defense in the league goes down to the 15th best defense in the league when Giannis is off the floor.
Wow.
Giannis adds a defensive win, or as they say, box plus minus of 4.1 when he is on the floor, which means that his team is 4 points better every time he is on the floor versus when he is off. And that goes close to a -3 when he's off. That kind of factor is not seen in any of these other teams, because as much as Milwaukee is renowned now for their defense,
of course,
the amount of that renown that is because of Giannis has been criminally understated up until now. To me, he was a contender for that last year as well, and frankly could have very well won, though Rudy Gobert had a insane season, just as he's having this year as well. He's having a very solid season. But to me, a defensive player of the year is transformational in that sense. And Anthony Davis, who also does that for the Lakers to a lesser extent, his actually defense plus minus is 2.6. So still very solid. Rudy Gobert is sitting in that close to Giannis range, but the Utah Jazz are great regardless, him being on and off. Though, to me, Giannis needs to be rewarded for his incredible efforts, not only for the defensive standpoint, but he's done that while making yet another leap on his offensive capabilities. He's had the best offensive season of his career. This season averaging 29.5 points on greater efficiency, shooting a 3.5 this year as well, while also getting his rebounds all the way up to 14 a game. Like,
that's
it's just
insane.
It's nuts.
Crazy.
It's video game numbers. It's video game numbers, and it's video game levels of effectiveness as well. Like, Giannis is a cheat code like few others in the league at this moment. Now, we've seen in the playoffs that can in some ways be mitigated when you slow Giannis down. But in the regular season, and that's what these awards are, there is no slowing Giannis down. And for a guy who has an overall box plus minus of 11.5, which means that when he's on, his offense is adding 7 more points than when he's off. His defense is adding 4 more points than when he's off. The best box plus minus this year of any player. It's a wrap. Give it to Giannis. He is going to win both Defensive Player of the Year and the MVP award as far as I am concerned. What do you have to say about that?
Do you know what? When you put it that way, you realize, you're like, a James Harden pick could, why would I even do that?
And this is me as like the biggest James Harden fan. Should have 4 MVPs at this moment, by the way. 4.
Maybe.
4.
Actually, now that we're talking about it, you have brought up some great points. So, honestly, we've seen leaps in terms of the way that, James Harden's played defensively. So, I mean, we're not talking about him particularly for Defensive Player of the Year. No. We were talking about the MVP race in that situation. But, yeah, Giannis, I think, by far and large, has been the best player in the NBA this season. By far and large. Like, it's not even close. I didn't know that his impact was that immense on the defensive end, to be honest with you. That was something that struck me odd. I do know he's a Greek freak, so we did realize that, that was definitely something that he did. But I was thinking it would be more from a defensive, like, rebounding situation, or like, but like he's had some incredible defensive games as well. Like 3-4 blocks a game, you can expect that from him.
Yeah.
And quite substantial. Like, he's great on deflections, and he's an intimidator. It makes it really hard for people to slash to the basket, and if you need him to defend the perimeter, he's lanky enough to do that. So, I have no I'm all for it. Giannis for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Let's do it. Except the difference between the two other ones is that both of those guys are champions. Okay.
But only Hakeem in that year, which
Of
by the
course.
way is the
That's
most
insane.
Yeah, the
That's
most
insane.
perfect season
dream.
ever. It's literally the dream season.
Yeah.
Hakeem Olajuwon's 93-94 season. I don't think that is likely to ever be topped in recent sort of history that we can talk about.
When Giannis maybe gets a fadeaway and
when
a dream
Giannis
shake, then maybe we'll talk about that. But anyway, so for our finalists, Once again, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, we've got Giannis, correct? Sixth Man of the Year, Dennis Schroeder. Coach of the Year, Nick Nurse.
Yep.
Or Billy Donovan. One or the other works. Most Improved Player, Brandon Ingram. And Rookie of the Year, Ja Morant. Anything else that you would add?
Yeah, I do want to give a floating shout out to James Harden on this year because he does have the best win shares of this year, which has always been one of those big metrics to show an individual's impact. James Harden is set to add 13 wins to a team.
Well, of course, because he literally scores the entire time.
It's like not
he is the entire team. If he doesn't score, the Rockets are not winning. What do you mean? Makes sense.
I mean, hey, I will always fear the beard. That's my guy. But this year, where the Rockets themselves have, in my opinion, underperformed from where they should be in the regular season, that is where it hurts James Harden. And as much as I'd love for you to win another MVP, because just one just ain't right. It ain't right. Because you've only won once. But Giannis this season has been just transcendent. And honestly, I'm actually very unhappy that LeBron has been the third guy on this MVP.
That doesn't make any
I know,
sense.
And the thing is, the media is going to have him at the very worst second in this voting. And frankly, by a lot of metrics, he hasn't even been the best player on his team. Anthony Davis has been more effective defensively on this team, and he has been just as effective offensively on the advanced metrics, meaning Anthony Davis has been the best player on that team.
Yeah.
As a 35-year-old, I understand, there's a lot of awesome things that, Lakers' best record in the West, great. No doubt LeBron has had another great season, highest assists per game of his career. But just think of how much pressure has been taken off of him because of having a release valve of the level of Anthony Davis. No one else in the league can really say that. In terms of a 1-2 combo, that is the best 1-2 combo in the NBA. From a purely, if I'm talking about top 5, top 7 players in the league, no other team has that combination.
That's true.
LeBron has that in Anthony Davis, and for that reason, I cannot fathom LeBron winning MVP this year, though I am ready to be proven wrong by the media because I am totally seeing LeBron getting the votes. We've already got reports coming out of, people talking, what was it, something Shelburne, I forgot, one of the media ones coming out. It's like, look, Giannis may be ahead in all these categories, but I'm a narrative-based voter.
Oh, God.
So LeBron, to me, is the MVP because of his narrative.
There's no narrative
Narrative, give
no
Giannis
there.
what he deserves.
Absolutely.
Back-to-back MVP, give him the Defensive Player of the Year, and it's a wrap. And if I have to be the swing vote in this, the swing's going to have to get in. Give me a vote!
Give this man a vote so he can vote for Giannis. Okay? Not LeBron.
Not this year. Sorry, boy.
Sorry, but playoffs are back. We're really excited. We got more content coming for you guys soon. Stay tuned. And until next time,
we'll catch you on the swing. As always, follow us on Instagram at The Swing Podcast. And we will see you when these awards get announced. Peace.
adios.